Hello, everyone. Today, I want to tell you an incredible story. It is about how English gave me my dream, my passion, and my success. If you have big dreams, maybe to be a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, a business person, or anything important, then you need English. 100%. There is no doubt. English is spoken by over 1.5 billion people in the world. It is the language of travel, business, science, and the internet. Without English, you can miss big opportunities, a better job, new international friends, or enjoying books and movies in their original form. But don't worry. You can start learning today. You can become part of this global community. If I learned English and reached my dream, you can too. My name is Sophia, and I am from Brazil. I was born in a small town. My family was not rich, not poor, just middle class. We had enough to live, but not enough for luxuries. My father worked as a taxi driver. My mother was a school teacher. They worked hard every day and always told me education is the key to success. Since I was a little girl, I had only one dream: to become a doctor. I still remember the moment my dream began. I was 10 years old. My younger brother was very sick. He had a high fever and we were scared. My parents were crying. Then a doctor came. He was calm, confident, and kind. He checked my brother carefully, gave him medicine, and spoke with so much knowledge. After a few hours, the fever was gone. My brother was safe. At that moment, I knew one day I will become a doctor. I will save lives. As I grew older, I learned something shocking. If you want to become a doctor, you need English 100%. All medical books are in English. All research is in English. Even in Brazil, doctors need English to study and to work. But my English was terrible. I went to a public school where they taught very little. I knew basic words like hello and how are you. But when I saw a full English sentence, I was lost. One day, my English teacher asked me to read aloud. I looked at the page, but the words seemed to dance. I could not understand. I whispered, "I don't know Mississippi." The class laughed. That evening, I sat alone in my room. I thought, how can I become a doctor if I cannot read a simple sentence in English? I felt hopeless. One evening, my father came home tired. He sat next to me and asked, "Sophia, why are you always sad?" I said quietly, "Papa, I want to be a doctor. But my English is bad. Without English, I cannot study medicine." He was silent for a long time. Then he said, "If English is stopping you, then go where everyone speaks English. Learn it there." I was shocked. "But Papa, we don't have money for that." He smiled. "We don't have much, but we have enough. Your dream is important." That night, my parents and I talked. Where should I go? Why Canada? Everyone speaks English. I would have to use it daily. Canada has excellent schools. People are friendly and multicultural. It was more affordable than the USA or UK. It was not easy. We were middle class. My parents had some savings, but not much. Still, they decided to sacrifice almost everything: my flight, my English school, and my first months of rent. Before I left, my mother held my hand. "Sophia, we are giving you everything we have. Promise me you will not give up." With tears, I said, "I promise, Mama." And with one suitcase, little money, and a big dream, I flew to Canada. The moment I landed in Toronto, Canada, I felt like an alien. The weather was freezing. In Brazil, it was always warm. Now my hands were like ice. The food was strange. I missed my mother's rice and beans. The people were nice, but they spoke too fast. And then came the biggest problem: English. At the airport, a man asked me, "Hey, do you need a taxi?" I panicked. I didn't understand. I just smiled and said, "Yes." Then he asked, "Where to?" I froze. My brain stopped. Finally, I showed him the address on my phone. That night, in my small rented room, I cried. What am I doing here? I can't understand anything. How will I survive? For the first time in my life, I felt completely alone. The next day, I went to my English school. The teacher smiled and said, "Welcome, everyone. Let's introduce ourselves." When it was my turn, I stood up. My hands were shaking. I said, "My name's Sophia. I'm from Brazil." I wanted to say more, but my mind was blank. Some students laughed. I sat down embarrassed. That night, I made a decision. No matter how hard it is, I will learn English. I promised myself I will do everything possible to become fluent. That was the start of my English journey. The first weeks in Canada felt like a new world. Exciting, but also terrifying. Everything was different. No school uniforms. In Brazil, everyone wore the same clothes. In Canada, kids wore anything, even pajamas. Personal space. In Brazil, we hug and kiss on the cheek. In Canada, people prefer distance. If you hug without asking, they feel uncomfortable. Weather. It changed in seconds. Sunny, then rain, then snow. Self-checkout. In stores, there were no cashiers. People scanned their own groceries. Sorry. Canadians said sorry for everything. Even if you stepped on their foot, they said sorry. Food portions. A small meal was enough for 3 people. But the biggest shock was still the English. People spoke so fast and used slang. At school, I learned proper English. But outside, people said, "Wanna grab a coffee? Do you want to get coffee? I'm down." I agree. That's lit. That's amazing. I felt like I had never studied English before. In class, I tried hard, but it was not easy. The teacher gave me a writing task. When she returned my paper, it was full of red marks. She said, "Sophia, you think in Portuguese, then translate. That's why it sounds strange." Speaking was worse. I often knew the answer in my head, but when I opened my mouth, no words came out. I wanted to cry. Will I ever be fluent? But I refused to give up. I remembered my mother's words. Promise me you will not give up. So I made a plan. A. The headphone trick. I wore headphones and talked to myself on the street. I pretended I was on the phone. I am walking. The sky is blue. That man is drinking coffee. It helped me think in English. B. 3 new words. Every day, I learned 3 new words and used them in sentences. C. No subtitles. At first, I watched movies with subtitles, but I realized I was reading, not listening, so I turned them off. At first, it was hard, but slowly I started to catch words and phrases. One day, I decided, today I will talk in English no matter what. I went to a cafe. The barista smiled. Hey, what can I get you today? My heart was beating fast. Don't panic, Sophia. You can do this. I said, I would like a cappuccino, please. She asked, with almond milk or regular? I understood. I quickly answered, regular milk, please. She gave me the coffee and said, here you go, have a great day. I replied, you too. It was a short conversation, but I felt like I had won a gold medal. That day, I realized something important. English is not about being perfect. It is about being confident. Learning English was one challenge. Surviving in Canada was another. Canada is expensive. Here's what I spent each month. Rent for a small room, $800. I shared with a roommate to save money. Groceries, $250. I learned to cook at home. Transportation, $120 for a bus pass. Phone bill, $50. English classes, $500. To pay my bills, I worked part-time in a small cafe. My days were tough. Wake up at 6 a.m., go to school, work in the cafe, come home tired, and still study at night. I miss my family. I missed home. But every time I thought of quitting, I remembered my parents' sacrifice. I couldn't fail. At first, my brain always translated. I heard a sentence in English I translated into Portuguese. I thought of an answer I translated back. It was slow and painful. But after 4 months, something amazing happened. I was at a grocery store. The cashier asked, do you need a bag? And without thinking, I answered, no, I have one, thanks. For the first time, I didn't translate in my head. I realized, wow, I am finally thinking in English. If you are struggling with English, here is my advice. Speak every day, even alone. Use the headphone trick. Stop translating. Start thinking in English. Talk to native speakers, even if it's scary. Surround yourself with English phone, movies, music. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes help you grow. And most importantly, never give up. Even after 6 months, I had one big fear, talking to native speakers. They spoke too fast, used slang, and I always felt stupid. One day, I made a decision. Today, I will have a real conversation. At my favorite coffee shop, a girl smiled and said, "Ugh, this line is so long, right?" I froze. This was my moment. I took a deep breath and said, "Yeah, it's really long." She continued, "I come here every morning. It's always like this." My brain panicked. But instead of overthinking, I said, "Oh, really? I just moved here, so I don't know." She asked, "Cool. Where are you from?" And just like that, we had a conversation. For the first time, I wasn't translating. I wasn't scared. I just talked. That day, something clicked. Confidence was the missing key. Now that I was more confident, I wanted to sound natural. I started the shadowing method, copying everything I heard. When I watched TV, I paused and repeated exactly like the actor. Example, "Oh my God, that's insane." I copied the tone, speed, and emotion. It felt strange at first, but after 1 month, my pronunciation improved a lot. I also kept a notebook of my mistakes. Example, I agree. By reviewing daily, I stopped repeating errors. This was the hardest step, but also the most powerful. I knew I had to talk to real Canadians. Here's what I did. Joined free meetups for international students. Used language exchange apps. I taught Portuguese. They taught me English. Talked to coworkers at the cafe. The more I spoke with Canadians, the more natural my English became. To enter medical school, I had to pass the IELTS exam. I was terrified. The reading passages were long. The writing tasks were hard. The speaking test made me nervous. But I studied every single day. I wrote essays. I recorded myself speaking. I read medical articles in English. On exam day, I walked in shaking. But I told myself, "Sophia, you didn't come this far to fail." A week later, I opened my results. I passed. Tears filled my eyes. That moment, I knew nothing could stop me. With my IELTS score, I got accepted into one of the best medical universities in Canada. Medical school was harder than anything I had faced. Textbooks were in advanced English. Professors spoke fast, using complex terms. But I kept going. I recorded lectures and listened every night. I made flashcards. I joined study groups. Finally, I graduated as Dr. Sophia Williams. On graduation day, I looked up and whispered, "This is for you, Mom and Dad." Soon after, I got my first job at a big hospital in Toronto. When I saw my first salary, $88,000, I remembered the days when I had only $5 left. But money wasn't the best part. The best part was saving lives. One day, a little girl came into the hospital crying. I held her hand and said, "Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll take care of you." Her mother looked at me with tears and said, "Thank you, doctor." In that moment, I knew I had earned this. Listen carefully. Many people say, "Accept yourself as you are." I disagree. Never accept being weak. Never accept being average. You must change yourself, not for society, not for friends, not even for family. Change for you. Nobody is coming to save you. Not parents, not teachers, not anyone. Only you can change your life. When I was struggling, I could have made excuses, English is too hard. I don't have money. I'm not smart enough. But excuses don't build dreams. Action does. So here is the truth. Learn English like your life depends on it. Speak every day. Make mistakes. Embarrass yourself. That is how you grow. Today, I live in a beautiful apartment in Toronto. I help my parents financially. I travel the world. I save lives. But remember, I wasn't foreign lucky. I created this life. And you can too. If you're watching this, you have two choices. Close this video and do nothing. Stay the same. Or start working on yourself right now. Learn English every day. Improve yourself. Change your life. The choice is yours. If you choose growth, then subscribe to Easy Story Hub, like this video, and let's start your journey together. Because when you become the best version of yourself, it feels like the whole world is in your hands.